Many people think AI will disrupt us. It's disrupting us now. And what will be with our future?
AI is not a technology that we should be afraid of or just like bothering about. AI is introducing us to a new kind of interface.
Hello to the podcast of Out of Comfort Zone. Today we have a special guest. We always speak about AI, and today we have the expert, the digital entrepreneur, the best-selling author, the speaker who is more than 20 years in this field. So Roger Basler de Roca.
Hi,
Welcome.
Deniz. Happy to be here. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much to joining us today. And maybe not everyone knows you, but I know you are every day on stages in different countries, different cities. And you are speaking about the most popular topic right now, right? So what happens with AI, how we will disrupt it, what is the future, how we will deal with the unknown, and all the big questions. I think that's why you are all on the stages. So maybe you can introduce yourself shortly for our listeners.
Absolutely. Pleasure. And thank you so much for having me again. My name is Roger. I'm in the field for over 20 years now. I started my career at IBM, where I was first introduced to the field of AI. It was back in the days when it was like Watson, the chess computational device, which was like a huge thing back in the days. And for over now 20 years, I'm in between the machines, the interfaces, and the humans. And just like you mentioned, it's accumulation of fears, of emotions, of positive enlightenment, but also of all those necessities that come with it, from the reskilling, the upskilling, and what does it really do, while actually knowing nothing, which leads to the term artificial intelligence, which is not artificial, it's not intelligence at all.
Yeah. So as you know, I'm a psychologist. Today, I will not go deep into the AI technical world. For the technical world, you have definitely your own podcast, which also the listeners should follow, and you have your own books. All right. So the main books, what you have, maybe you can also summarize that for the listeners, because you wrote a lot of books about the myth of AI, how to use LinkedIn, digital management transformation, and so on. So the listeners should go there. But today I want to focus more on the psychological side of AI, because many people are overwhelmed. They have difficulty struggling with uncertainty, what to do next. And the main challenging question, maybe I will start with this directly. Many people think AI will disrupt us. It's disrupting us now. And what will be with our future?
Yeah, that's the question that everybody's asking me off stage, actually. So when I'm on the stage, people are always like listening and they're asking questions like, yeah, what tools do I need to use? And what's the best chat GPT prompt and so on and so forth. But like you just said, off stage, it's exactly this question. So what will it do with us and how can we kind of like prepare to that? And let me just frame it a little bit in my words. So I'm saying that AI is not a technology that we should be afraid of or just like bothering about. AI is introducing us to a new kind of interface. And what I mean with that is basically how we interact with software, with hardware, and with the solutions we provide nowadays. Just imagining it how it was like almost impossible a few years ago to talk to your phone and it understands basically what you want. I'm not talking about Siri. I'm talking about dictation. I'm talking about formulating something and ChatGPT executes for you, or you're going on a search engine and just formulate very vaguely what research you want to do. And the AI is capable through a large language model, and just basically just we're leading to what the new skills come through language capacity. It understands, it translates, and it executes for us. And when it comes to new skills, formulating what you want and knowing what it means to choose different words becomes a highly sophisticated skill.
Exactly. And many people are afraid of losing their jobs, afraid to not be relevant anymore. So I'm working more than 15 years in consulting industry, right? So I see it also in the big four consulting firms. It's not a surprise. You can see it in the newspapers that 40%, 30%, there are job cuts because the AI replaced their job. We always said repetitive work, admin work will go to AI, but now even more complex work goes to AI, and suddenly smart people, high hierarchical level of top managers, they are replaced by AI. They don't need to charge anymore 4,000, 5,000 euros per day to make a nice strategy. Or I'm coming from the change management field, right? So in the past, we sold for 3, 4 consulting days for just a change, now it's just at this time, a few years ago, it was a big thing, building a change strategy, communication plan, whatever. And now you're clicking in half an hour, you have the communication strategy. So you don't need to buy a consultant and brief them, do big workshops and so on. So what will happen with all these high qualified, smart people?
Well, first of all, we have to maybe adjust the numbers a little bit, because I think that most of the layoffs that are happening right now also come from a field where we built and rebuilt too much capacities since the pandemic. I'm in economics by studying, but I'm an IT guy by trade. And what we saw in the last years is basically firms and companies were building up capacities. And because they thought, you know what, we need this kind of overhead to cape and to cope with all these verticals coming on. Now, the next phase that we're facing right now with AI is this automation phase, which basically introduced us to the capacity that we can streamline certain processes, like I just said, a research process. It can be streamlined, certain tasks can be outsourced. And the AI, basically the program who's using the AI capacity of some sort, can deliver some of the results. But everybody who's really working in the field may also say to you that, you know what, it does a very first good draft. The second, third, and sixth draft is very hard to come by, because you need to still figure out what are the nuances, what are the preliminaries, and also what are the no-goes when it comes to those kind of things. Because otherwise, you always have these generic strategies, these generic reports, and also these generic communication things.
Yeah.
What I see in the field is basically that people are overwhelmed by the sheer amount of possibilities, and they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And that's a big issue, because the companies did not prepare them or us in general to be very much open to the change, which is happening every day. And people hate change, right? Because change is always it's uncomfortable, right? It's just, I don't want that. I don't want to change my coffee. I don't want to change my way to work. And I surely do not change my way of work. And now AI forces us to do it. And it forces the companies, because everybody's doing it. But it comes from very different aspects, and automation, which is now just like the next step, logical step out of AI, just one field of it.
Exactly. And many people still staying in their digital comfort zone, let's say, right? Because out of comfort zone feels still unsafe, unknown, and there are also not a lot of answers, tell you the truth. So they ask me, we are in the same speaker community, right? As a speaker, yeah, Deniz, can you motivate people to step out of their comfort zone? They need to change jobs. And then at the same time, they say, yeah, and can you please tell what are the future job roles, what they should do? But we are in a stage right now, we don't have all the answers. There are many more questions than answers.
Yes, and especially the answers that are delivered by the AI, when it's not used correctly, is kind of fake news or totally wrong, because it's just a language model, right? And here's the thing: what I'm always like bothering when I'm not only on stage but also in the companies, I see that many people they're using some sort of AI. Let's just for the sake of the podcast call it AI, even though it's language models, machine learning, and so on and so forth. But they're using programs which they were never really introduced to, and they're using it in a way that are used from Microsoft Excel, Word, and PowerPoint. So basically, you have an interface, you click here and there, you press enter, and it delivers something. But here comes one major difference. The AI itself, the model, does not know what it does. And we must be very much in the driving seat, and we must take responsibility back to us to not only prove what we put into it, but also what's the output. And there's this very funny acronym, which was formed in 2004 by two female librarians in the US, which is called the CRAP formula. Which basically was coming from back in the days when the internet was thriving and coming up with social media and so on and so forth. And CRAP stands for credibility, reliability, the authority behind it, and the purpose, who has sent the message. And the AI does kind of the same thing. It has been trained by some material. We put something into it, which forms the output. But whatever it's formed, it's very good in formulating it. But it's on us to really prove it, but also understand that what we put into totally defines the output, but also which buttons we push, be it a web search, be it providing our own data, be it connecting to a SharePoint. And that's the thing that people don't understand yet.
It's completely biased.
It's completely biased because we are biased, right? We do the same thing as we do with PowerPoint and Excel. We open a program and we click. We do not question how Excel comes to the numbers because it's basically a calculation program. We do not figure out why does Word correct me when I'm writing a sentence and why does PowerPoint format mean a certain thing because there's a template. But if the program such as Copilot or ChatGPT, it's not that obvious. Whatever you put in, it comes out. It's in the GPT. It generates something. It's in the program. It must generate. It does not know what it does because it's pre-trained on certain statisticals, right? But it's the same thing as if you go to school and you go out and you were asked, like, just after your major, hey, I have this patient here, ABC. She or she has anxiety. Why? You don't know why. You're missing total context. You're missing the whole history. But because we live in such a fast-paced age, the same thing happens now again. We do not feed the programs with enough information, so the answers are flawed.
Yeah. And the information overload and the pace is enormous, right? So in the past, we communicated with letters and sending via post something. It took maybe a few weeks to get a response. Now we have all the communication tools. And with the AI, the pace is enormous. So we constantly have, I think, information overload in our human brain, right? We don't upgrade our human brain like ChatGPT is upgrading themselves every day, or even our phones, right?
And we might think that, yeah, it's a little bit more complex, but you mentioned something that basically the information is overwhelming us. Yeah. There's a certain stagnation in movement because we have too much things that we have to filter through. In fact, information is not really increasing. The internet is only growing by 1% every year because there's not enough people filling all the information we need.
Oh, that's a lot of no. Okay, so the information is not growing.
No, it's not. So what's happening is basically there's a lot of, we call it like AI slop, which is basically people using some kind of technology. Nowadays it's AI. Back in the days it was just like some spam techniques, but they're using the same thing again and again. And you can relate to it if you open up, for example, Instagram or TikTok, you basically see the same memes, the same videos again and again and again, maybe in different languages, maybe from a different angle, but it's the same thing. Yeah. It happens now again with all the information out there, be it cyber news attacks, be it, let's say, reports from some presidents in some parts of the world. But the information as a quality is not increasing. In fact, it's only increasing by around 50 million pieces, unique content. And mostly it's coming from research and mostly it's coming from Caucasian people over 40, okay? Because this is where the bottleneck is. And here comes the thing. We live in a world where we have information overload, but we also have, first of all, our own bubble, which focuses based on our behavior on social media, for example, our consumption of media. So if you're reading the same book and the same newspaper again and again, you see the same thing. If you talk to the same people, you receive the same thing. There's no change happening, like you mentioned before. And furthermore, there's no unique new things coming in because people are not only overwhelmed by the information, they also don't know where to start. Yeah. And here's the most dangerous part about that. We leave most of the things, and I write about it in my book as well, to a cognitive offloading to the machines. So whatever we produce is not unique enough. We think that the AI is doing it for us. ChatGPT is right, and Perplexity is correct, and Gemini does the right thing. We do not think enough. We offload the responsibility. We create more AI slop, which then basically bites us back in the back.
Yeah, that's dangerous, right? So many people are publishing suddenly books. I heard that Amazon even limited the book publishment because some people are publishing 10 books per year, written by AI, right?
Yeah, so, but the thing is that Amazon knows if your book is written with AI or not. Here's a funny story, okay? So I've written 36 books, and none of them have been good, okay? Because I write them myself, and even nowadays I use AI, and there's a big difference between writing with AI or writing by AI.
Yeah.
But let me say that I published this year, after I was preparing for it, like for 2 years, I published 3 books. It was a research process and everything. The amount of people who figured out that I missed a comma or a T or an S here and there is tremendous. So people are still reading books, right? And they're reading it thoroughly, right? But I take it as a compliment, even though there's a mistake in it. And yes, I do use somebody who's proofreading it, but mistakes can happen, especially after hundreds of pages. And AI books do not sell. They do not sell, trust me. So they're not good. And there's missing the social proof. There's missing a lot of, some call it like soul and everything, but people recognize other people's work. It's in the words. It's something that is beyond our understanding of technology, right?
So you call it soul. I would call it spirit, right?
Yeah.
Or the soul, the spirit, the emotions.
It's energy. In the end, it's some energy which is transported through new media, right? But I'm not an esoteric guy at all, but I believe that there's energy around us, so there must be. It's a physics world, right? But AI is the same thing. The difference is that if we're not cautious enough, and I'm pro AI. Get me right. I think that people can achieve tremendous things through technology if they still feel connected to what they're doing and if they understand what they're doing. It's like a photocopy machine, right? If you put in something nice, you can print like 1 million Mona Lisas and make people happy. That's great. But if you don't use it right, it might have a little thing on it. So anyway, the thing is that with AI and with technology, responsibility comes back, and people need to understand that we have now a once in a generation chance to make the best out of it or the worst out of it. I'm not even talking about corporations. I'm talking about you and me sitting in front of a machine and could possibly change something.
Yeah. So many people don't feel the power maybe to change something with AI. They feel maybe over-dominated by AI. So I heard some cases that in the past, of course, they have some IPs, written their own books, do their own consultings. And now they say everything what is in my mind is now in ChatGPT. Other people can Google it. They don't need me anymore. They don't need my IP anymore. So what happens with all these companies, with all those entrepreneurs, business people, consultants?
Well, here's a funny thing, right? As somebody who's also owning a patent, I know that there's always a big risk when you publish a patent, because it's basically you publishing what you know. Yeah. And there is a big difference between protecting your intellectual property because you have written it down and you pay for it and you have the means and the lawyers to do it, or you just keep it by yourself and you think you're the only person who does that. Let me be frank, okay? Most of the things we do in corporations is the same thing again and again for the last decade and the decade before and the decade thereafter. We do not really innovate enough to call ourselves like protector or treasurers of something new. The new thing comes through the interaction through the people. So you might know certain things in the area of expertise, right? You might be a specialist in insurance or banking or psychology or whatever, right? You can read up on that, but it doesn't teach you experience. And it doesn't teach you the experience in between one or more people. The software and the technology cannot yet, and inshallah, hopefully never, take that from us as long as we don't allow it. Meaning that you can use technology to work faster, better, and more thoroughly, but you need to be in control. First of all, you need to understand that's your responsibility to do it. And yes, those kind of things were fed initially by the information out there to create an understanding of our language. They inherently do not know something and I do not create something new. The new thing happens if I twist it to a certain thing. So if I come up with the idea of, let's say, making a robot Mona Lisa who's singing backwards Eminem's verse or whatever, not infringing any copyright here, but if I come up with something new and crazy, it might create that for me. It doesn't come up by itself. And people need to understand that as long as we are in charge of this nitty gritty in between and we are building on our experience and expertise, we always have an advantage. But it's about responsibility and seeing it. And also, to be quite frank, to have the time and the mental capacity to embrace it,
Yeah.
right? And people don't have time for that.
So still the human skills are important. So having the spirit, having the energy, coming with their own purpose, their own intention, right? And the second, even though ChatGPT or AI is supporting our innovation processes, still you need some ideas. Still you need different biases, different roles to connect. And this cannot be replaced for now, at least by AI. So it's still a good sign to say, smart people all over the world, if you have still the ideas, even though AI is replacing maybe all your IPs or summarizing it to other people, yes, but still you can do something with those information, with those experiences, right? So the humanity is still important, the control, having the control,
yes,
connecting the spirit, the energies. Yeah.
And there's two ways of control. So through my further education, I'm in the process of a PhD right now, we figured out that the data we feed it is much more weighing in, has much more purpose on the output than the prompt. People always talk about prompt engineering and this is going to go away, this is going to fade. You still need words because you need to formulate context, but the prompting itself, that's a thing that's soon part of the past. But the data, I'm talking about really statistical and relevant data. It's about 50% of the weight of the outcome. And here's the thing. So people always confuse ChatGPT with the rest of the AI out there, and there's 1,300s of AI. Switzerland just released a new model by the ETH and DPFL, and there's a lot of open source AI, which you can run on your computer. Yeah. No connection to the internet, no connection to a database. You can use technology locally, open source with your data and create something tremendous new. And you don't have to put it on social media to brag about it. You can just use it for good, right? And that's what people always forget. You don't have to always rely on the big corporations. You don't have to rely on a Meta AI, on a ChatGPT by OpenAI, on a Grok by Elon Musk or whoever's creating something. You can support open source, free AI software and create something with your own data and make a difference.
That is amazing. And that's, again, I think, out of the digital comfort zone, right?
Yes, you have to know it. And people don't know it because it's too much information.
Yeah. And also, you mentioned this topic of soul. Maybe we can deep dive a little bit in it. What do you mean by the soul? So what is differentiating us still, our human being, still from the AI, from this technology?
So here's a funny quote. I also talk about it in my book. And when I want to do the seminars, not the keynotes, but the seminars, the most important part when using technology is, first of all, breathe in and let go. You have to have a clear mind and you have to have peace here. If you just start typing in with the rush, with the adrenaline, everything you have in it, nothing good can come out of it. You need to have clear focus and need to understand that this here is just in control of what's here, but it starts here, right? You need to fill it with oxygen and energy first. People always look at me like, come on, guy, you're from IT. You're not really saying us,
I love
breathe now,
as a
right?
psychologist and practice.
Yes, you do.
Spiritual practices as well. I love what you say. Yeah.
Breathe and let go. The next step is still not on the computer. It's about knowing what you want. So have the goal in mind. And you as a sport like maniac and somebody who is really like successful in field knows that you have to have the goal in mind. You have to visualize it. You have to manifest it basically before you can go on and work for it. The same thing happens here. It doesn't help if I think about the prompt. It doesn't think about which tool I need to use. I need to understand that what do I want to achieve with it? And here's the soul. Because if you do not create something which has no connection to you, has no soul to you, nothing that you really connect with, it's just work. It's just an output. It's just, you're moving one thing left to right. That doesn't make a difference. But you need to breathe first. You need to have the goal in mind. And then you need to formulate that. And then you can start working, right? And that's what many people misunderstand because it's not a machine world. It's a world full of not only like beings, but organisms, right? And everything runs on energy and everything runs on a certain purpose. And we need to understand.
I love it, what you're saying. So the prerequisite is still, as a human being, staying human, connecting with yourself, connecting with your inner peace, with your inner purpose, breathing in, breathing out. So that means practicing mindfulness, letting go all the fears, all the drama, being aware, right? And then with a clear mindset, with a clear goal, using it wisely. Otherwise, we are getting lost in this.
Yes, and you need much less iterations. So we've run tests in my agency, and we figured out that if people do that, they are much quicker in coming to whatever they want to achieve. They need less iterations in terms of, no, this more or less up, down, whatever. It might need more time. First of all, you think that. It doesn't actually, because here's the funny thing. So I do research in cognitive offloading, the thing I just mentioned, which is basically you give the machine more power. Googling something is offloading information because you don't remember it, you're offloading it. If you do this briefing, focusing, knowing kind of thing first, it keeps it inside your system. So the next time you need to do a similar thing, you're much quicker because you already have connected to it, right? And people who don't do that, and there's a study out there which just recently came out, it's not from me, it's from some colleagues of mine. They said that 80% of the work we do without being focused on it, with offloading it, is basically worthless because we cannot use it a second or third time because we've forgotten it by the moment we're typing it in.
So that means, what does exactly mean offloading, and what is the difference of doing it more wisely?
Yes. So cognitive offloading started basically with the calculators. Oh, let's go in back with the books, right? Socrates once said, allegedly, I wasn't there, that the demise of the human beings or human race is basically we write down things so we don't have to remember it. Those were the days of the philosophers who said, you need to remember things, you need to feel it, then you can tell it because you understand it. Then came the book. And the book made it very easy to write down certain things and to reproduce it, good or bad. History is about to judge about that, but we multiplied the time, effort that is needed to communicate and transport information. With the uprise of the internet and Google, for example, we offloaded some other information. Let's say, for example, how to do certain things. Or why do we have a day off on the 1st of August in Switzerland, the 4th of July in the US, and so on and so forth? People don't remember it because the only thing they do remember is, okay, Google knows. Here's the fun thing. Since ChatGPT started like about 5 years ago, the amount of people asking the software certain things has risen from last year 35 million to this date 2.5 billion. So every day 2.5 billion questions are asked on an AI, especially ChatGPT, where people could remember it. And we're talking certain things like certain translation of words, or maybe how to bake a certain cake, or maybe what's the weather out there. Certain things you can verify by yourself. The thing is that those numbers are rising.
Yeah.
And to give you another number in perspective, Google has 13 billion daily searches. ChatGPT has 2.5, but it has risen from 35 million. So it has like 100-fold over just one. We are very lazy organisms. If we see a chance to let go, we do not go to hard work, right? And you, as somebody who's been swimming in very different areas and matters, and I mean, how it feels, how pain is, right? If you have to go through something.
Yes.
We don't want that. And change is the same thing, right? We don't want that. We don't like the discomfort, right? But what is the great thing if you go through discomfort?
You are in your growth zone.
Exactly. And you learn. You learn as an organism, as a human being. You learn from the outcome, but also from the way through it. With offloading, we dismiss it. We go straight to the end. We drink the sip of fortune, of winning, or whatever, without knowing that we are thirsty.
That's a bad thing. And you can do it again and again and again. And these technologies doesn't challenge you, right? They don't say, hey, you asked this question yesterday, so what is going on with your mind? So they don't challenge you, right? They want to please you every day, knew that they have more power on you.
Yes.
That's the
So fun thing is that if you Google something and it shows up pink or like this purple color, I'm not good with colors, but it's kind of like purple. You have searched for that last 30 days. And Google basically says in its statistics that comes out every year that 85% of the searches that are done daily have been asked once or twice or multiple times during the last 7 to 30 days.
Yeah, that's insane.
It is.
And this is a difficulty and a risk also for our humanity, because as you said, we don't like stepping out of our comfort zone. We like being comfortable. And at the same time, many people are complaining that they say, yeah, the world is discomfort anyway. we are out of our comfort zone anyway. Why we should seek for stepping out of comfort zone? So it's like a dilemma. But at the end, if we don't do it proactively and don't change ourselves and trying to stick in this comfort, then also we are resisting to the change. And the change is happening, even if we accept or not. It's happening every day, every second. And if we don't adapt, if we don't go to this growth zone proactively, then we can embrace these challenges. We can't unlock our human potential. We are just stuck and resist and trying to stay dry in a boat which is sinking.
Yeah, yeah. And exactly the same thing, right? Like if you're using your analogy here, that people know we are sinking, but nobody is getting the water out of the boat. Everybody's talking about that we should do something because we are sinking, obviously, right? But who's doing something? When people complain to me, for example, about those fake news and all those deep fakes and so on and so forth, I ask them always the same three questions. Number one is that, when was the last time you published something? Have you written a blog, a podcast, or a book? Have you somehow contributed to something meaningful in terms that people can read up on it? No. I started 2 blogs, AI Good News and AI Bad News, which, yes, runs on automation, but I'm writing it myself because I need it for my book. But I want that people see there's good news and bad news. But I'm part of the problem, so I need to be part of the solution as well. Number 2 is, how much do you protect your own sovereignty and your own data? You'll be surprised how many people do not have a password manager and how many people are not protecting their digital identity out there. And I'm talking a similar number 3 as sharing pictures of your children over social media. And WhatsApp is no exception. People always say that I have nothing to hide. Yeah, but then just leave your door open at night and put your credit cards on display if you have nothing to hide, right? It's not about provoking, but it's understanding that you need to be part of the solution if you are bothered by the problem. And we all have the same means. We all have a computer. We all have a communication and broadcasting device. And now we even have technology which might help us to do something good. But it's uncomfortable at first. You need to first, I was just diving last week again. You need to put on the wetsuit. It is kind of like, right, until you're in. And then it's tremendous. It's wonderful, right? But then you get out again, which is like itchy again. And then, yeah. So, but you have to go through the discomfort. I'm sorry, guys. It's like, it's the world.
Yeah. And it's also a chance. So if you activate your growth mindset, you can use it as a chance to redefine yourself, to reskill, upskill yourself. Okay, we don't maybe know what are the future jobs, right? So we know 40% at least will be replaced or replacing right now, but not all the jobs are now active, right? So we are now in a transition stage. So there will be completely new jobs which we are not seeing right now. But
absolutely. And it's a big chance, like you say, right? Because you might think and discover through your growth that you're totally meant for something else. Maybe you're not meant to be the greatest researcher, greatest accountant out there, the greatest marketing specialist or whatever. Maybe you're meant to make some, I don't know, wooden toys for kids, or just spend more time with your family. And there must be a way, but we have to go through it. I don't know what the future brings. Nobody knows, by the way, not even the people that work in AI. We don't know when the general artificial intelligence is super intelligence is coming, if it's already here, what it means and whatever. We don't know. But it's the same thing if we would have asked our grandparents back in the days that, hey, can you imagine that you talk to something metal and it's transported 10,000 miles into the future because you're talking to somebody in Japan or Thailand or whatever through video? And they would look at you like, what? And nowadays there's jobs out there which are just basically creating filters for videos, which set up infrastructures so we can communicate, which build all those kind of things, And I believe that human beings still have a lot of potential. We just have to face it.
Yeah. And so from the spiritual world, it's a spiritual growth as well. It's a transition. And we are used to always live in our minds, strategizing. We are focusing on our growth, mindset, focus, concentration, strategy, but there is a lot of more. And many people, that's why many leaders also now started with mindfulness, letting go, breathing, what you even say as an AI entrepreneur. I wouldn't expect that you telling me this to say breathing, breathe out, let go. And yes, but that's it. So still we are humans. And despite all the challenges we have, we need to find ourselves more than ever to stay resilient, to feel in control, no matter what happens outside of the world, right? And it will evolve. We will see the signs, but first we need to come to ourselves. And also what you mentioned, having the soul, the energy to manage our own energy, to manage our own soul, being connected with our own soul, and then seeing, okay, what is now important? So being with the family or doing something else. So the ikigai concept, right? Do what you love, do what the world needs. And maybe the world needs something different.
The world certainly needs you, you know? It's certainly that everybody has a purpose, everybody. And it's not behind a computer. It's not behind a smartphone. You might use it as a mean of transport, a mean of multiplying this message, whatever. But the real world is happening out there. And I get my best ideas in winter in saunas and throughout the year in ice baths, because I have to forget everything until I get in there, because it hurts. I'm not into pain, don't get me wrong, right? But it forces me to focus on me alone, on my breathing, on everything I do, and to endure it. And everything that noisy, which is surrounded by us all the time, all the information we're putting out there and consuming it not consciously, you can let go. And after a minute or two, you get all the ideas. I wrote one book, by the way, in Kos. I was there in March.
Yeah.
Kos is known for the sunrise, which are beautiful, and very cold water. And it's the best you can do. I mean, I don't have to tell you that, but it's the best you can do. Sunrise in the cold water.
Now, all listeners still who are saying, no, I'm a warm duscher, I don't like cold. Now, look, Roger, as an AI entrepreneur, AI strategist, he's also telling this. So with whom I'm speaking, everyone sees the benefits, right? So it's resetting your brain. It makes your brain more clear. It helps you to connect with your soul, with your own body, with your whole cells, and feel that you are still a human, feeling the awareness. And then you see the world completely different, and you are much more in your joy zone, despite discomfort. And I always say, when you master comfort and discomfort, then you can master everything. You can master the uncertainty, the unknown, your fears. And this is a real muscle what we need to build. We are every day going to gym. So many people invest so much money for longevity, gyms and everything, or good nutrition. But how often we are really working on our mental resilience. And that's what you're also saying. So going into the cold, in the ice. So if you proactively challenge yourself, your brain, to stay calm, to let go, to reset your brain, to be active and open again for the real
Absolutely
in your life.
And get me right, I love a warm bottle bath. Okay, it's great, you know. But the thing is that, and you know it better than everybody else, when you submerge into the cold water, and the moment you put your hand down, your head down,
everything stops.
Everything stops, and this is crazy. It is so. It's really like divine. I have to say, I'm not very religious at all, but I think it's a divine moment because you're not attached here, there. You're by yourself. And you submerge, and you have this clarity of thought as soon as the pain settles. Okay, so first you're like, why I'm doing this, and I hate myself, and all those negative talk, and then you let go.
But then when you let go, then it's the magic zone.
It is totally magic zone. And people need to understand that. And again, don't go to the gym with your headphones in all the time and listen to the next podcast. It's a great thing, but you need to be in the moment, right? Also in the gym, also in the bubble bath, whatever. But yeah, we're just distracted all the time.
We are just distracted and have always doing multitasking, want to be efficient, but then we are worried about or asking us questions, oh, why I have burnout or why I feel restless. Despite I do meditation, despite I do sports, when you are in your mind still in your job or in your future or in your past, then that's the point. You're still restless, even though you are on a holidays, right? So many clients, coaches saying, I feel restless. I had 1 week holiday. So it's in our brain. And that leads also to the next question. In this world of AI, you also write, I think, in your book, like some practices, how to deal with this uncertainty, with this stress zone, with these anxieties. what could be the concrete rituals to deal with this unknown and feel more under control and step into the growth zone?
So first of all, like you already said, you understand you cannot change the world from today until tomorrow. It's happening. This change process has been happening for the last at least 70 years, since technology basically was able to computate faster, more efficient, and parallel. So fun fact, AI is a parallel computational thing, while we cannot think parallelly, even though people think that still. And you will always lose to a machine when it comes to efficiency and speed. But that's not the goal here. The goal here is to understand that if you have the clarity and the peace, you can really make a difference because you know more through experience. To give you a technical number, a child who learns to ride a bicycle has formed more neurological patterns, basically like informational tokens, than the biggest AI out there at the moment. Because we have the cognitive ability to see, feel pain, on the knees, on the arms, on the head, and everything that comes with it, it forms a neural understanding of the world. The AI is not capable of that, not yet. There's words on it, but inshallah, again, we don't hope that. And you need to understand that you matter, but you need to have the clarity and the peace to understand what you're really good at. And it comes with knowing that you don't need another tool. I was right about it in my book. You need the right tool if you know where you need to go, right?
Yeah.
And there's too many people out there who want too much tools and too much efficiency without looking to thing that really matters, which is making a difference, inequality, in terms of we need to provide more equity to the world and provide our own equity. And no technology can give that. No technology. But you need to calm down first.
You need to calm down first and find your own unique selling point, right? Many people I'm asking, what is your potential? They don't exploit their potential because they were like in a hamster wheel every day doing the same, practicing the same job. They don't want any changes. And then suddenly now they're distracted, or AI disrupted their work. And now they say, oh, who I am, what I can do, what is my hidden potential?
But this great thing, right? You mentioned Ikigai before, and I'm a big believer of you are the result of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if you have the chance and you're lucky to have such friends and family members, whatever, they will tell you. They will tell you quite frank what you're good at. You don't need an expensive coaching for that. It helps once you know it, and then please go to somebody who's really experienced in that. I do believe in the concept of coaching, but from people who have been there, who have gone through it. You need to face the truth first, and also what you're not good at. I was always bad in school. That's okay. I'm just not the guy who's sitting in a row who can do like computational things and be good at a workplace. That's okay. But you will figure it out.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out.
And also there are some political questions, right? What happens if people really lose their jobs and the jobs will be not replaced? What will happen with all those people? What will happen with the systems? So any point of view on that, on the most critical topic again, which I asked at the beginning of our conversation, what will happen with those high qualified people or low qualified people, whatever, who are losing their jobs and don't know what to do? So
first of all, and please forgive me that I'm very harsh on that, but corporations are not here for welfare. So no corporation is obliged to give you a job, right? Society as a whole must find ways that corporations are incentivized to provide jobs, and we need to make sure that whoever has no job, that there is enough means and possibilities that they can profit from such systems. There is ways where we can finance and refinance further education, where we can change the way people love to educate themselves, but also to, for example, formulate a universal basic income. I'm a big defender of that. I believe that we can finance it, but it's uncomfortable for some of the people out there. It's only a few. I no need to call names, but there's ways in the system where we can somehow finance that. There's many ways out there from people who are much more clever than I am. But we need to understand that whoever is causing the damage also has to be part of the bill. So if there is some companies out there who are part of this change, we need to make them accountable. But I'm not talking about punishing them, but being part of the solution. Sam Altman, I don't like him personally, to be honest. I think he's an interesting, fascinating guy, such as Elon Musk, but don't quote me on that. I do not have the same views, okay, not the same values at all. But he also said that, yes, there's ways that we can finance it through taxes and stuff like that. There needs to be a way of universal basic income. There needs a way to educate people and incentivize them. But it starts much, much earlier, and it's our own responsibility. If you're lucky enough to live in Germany at the moment, there's ways that the government is subsidizing companies which help people educating themselves in the use of AI and such and so forth. There's also ways in Switzerland, but it's not that obvious because we're not a state, we're a confederation, so it's a bit more complicated with the cantons, but there's ways. But if you don't have this intrinsic motivation, and even if it's, you know what, I change my profession, go into politics because I think we need changes in the political system, please do it, right? Yeah. Nothing will change if you don't change.
Nothing will change if we don't change. We need to start with ourselves, with our mindset, with our energy, finding our purpose back. That's amazing. And that's so important. And you also write a book about 35 myths, right?
Yes. Myths about digitalization and all the things out there. Yeah. Yeah.
What are the main 3 interesting points that would you like to share with us?
One myth is, which I already shared with the internet, that it's not being created by the majority, but by the minority. And I think one of the biggest misconception is that you are somehow influencing any algorithm out there through knowing changes on your websites and on your bio, whatever you're doing. Everything is motion detected and your behavior. And people cannot change their behaviors that fast. So if you want a different algorithm, if you want a different way of how you perceive the information, you have to change yourself first.
Again.
You have to change your behavior, and it will be reflected by an algorithm. Another one is that I do not believe that the AI is really taking jobs, but it will shifting jobs. That's also what I'm talking about in the book, because it's just the next evolution of digitalization. But here comes the last myth, maybe number 3, that we have to all adapt AI. We don't. We have to embrace digital means of ways and how to work and do certain things. We do not have to embrace AI. AI is just the next logical step, right? It's not the end of the road. But if you treat it like a goddess or something that's like a savior or something that will, that's totally wrong direction. Okay. It's technology. It doesn't know anything again. And you are the divine power and nobody else.
You are the divine power, no one else. And of course, for some people, maybe it feels uncertain, unsecure. Maybe there are more questions than answers. What I will do, what are my skills, where I need to upskill myself, what I should do. But again, breathe in, breathe out, let go, and find the inner answers maybe first. And then the universe, the world will show us, right? The new jobs, and maybe also accepting this transition phase also for the younger generations, right? So many younger generations also asking, oh, what I should do. And when I study this will be replaced by AI. So many questions again. But I think we need to also accept that we are now in a transition phase and there will be more clarity and transparency in the upcoming months or years. Or what do you think?
Absolutely. I think our parents, my parents they were born in the 40s. I think those were the last generations who learned something for a job which they kept for 30, 50 years, the next generation already after that, being born in the 70s, maybe roughly, no. We both don't work in the job that we were trained on, which we had like trade schools and everything. I would go even that far that whatever we learned in school, except from some societal and sociological norms, we don't use anything of that, right? And that's the fact, and that's okay. It's okay. The only thing that has really made us very, very hard lately is the speed. But again, declutter your life first, get rid of the noise, and form yourself in a way, forming, you mean like formation in terms of education, in a way of being curious enough to teach yourself new things, be it through technology, be it through other people. There's a lot of means out there, means like tools that you can use. You can educate yourself. You can read up on it. You can listen up on it. There's never been. But you need to understand that you are in charge of verifying the information. But it's not that hard. Just remember the crap. Okay, cut the crap. Focus on the good things. And again, it's not about speed. It's not about who gets there faster. It's about who gets there.
Who gets there? Who can use this uncertainty, those fears, to the advantage? Like in a pandemic crisis, we have so many examples. Many people had depression, burnout, or whatever, and many people started their own job. I wrote my best-selling book during pandemic, right? I said, okay, I was so bored of being depressed for days with myself, sitting there in South Africa. I said, okay, so how you can use it as a chance. And it's always like that. It's always our decision what we would do out of this situation. We can complain. We can say, oh, everything's overwhelming. Our job will be replaced. Or we can say, okay, what is my unique selling point? How I can find myself, my inner peace, to make something different. And this is so powerful. Thank you for this conversation, having it from the AI angle. And it's again and again reminding us we have the power within and we need to find it. It's our responsibility. It's our job. If we don't do it, no one will do it for us.
Just do it. It's going to be good.
Thank you.
Thank you.